In a moment that marked both history and heritage, our 11-year-old Prince George confidently stepped into the spotlight at Buckingham Palace, taking on the most significant royal duty of his young life. With the future of the monarchy quietly resting on his small shoulders, the young prince displayed the poise, warmth, and curiosity that defined the future king. He charmed Second World War veterans during an emotional celebration of the 80th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day, alongside his parents, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and his grandparents, King Charles and Queen Camilla. George attended a very special tea party hosted in the Grand Marble Hall of Buckingham Palace. The guest list was extraordinary. Wounded veterans, some over a century old, were invited to share their stories with the royals, reconnect with their pet, and witness history come full circle. The symbolic power of this day was not lost on anyone, least of all Prince George. As the marble floors echoed with laughter, memories, and the clinking of teacups, Prince George moved from table to table with his parents, shaking hands, listening intently, and asking thoughtful questions. One of the most moving moments came when George met Alfred Littlefield, a 101-year-old D-Day veteran who served with immense bravery, storming the beaches of Normandy under fierce enemy fire. When George gently asked, "What was it like when you were coming in?" the veteran replied with raw honesty, "Pretty awful." But it was Alfred's words to George that struck a deeper chord. Turning to the young prince, he said, "You know, it's very important that you're here today. We should use days like this to talk about these things so the younger generation can gain some understanding." Looking at Prince William, he added, "You should be very proud." And in that moment, Prince George was not just a boy in a blazer. He was a bridge between past and future, an embodiment of national memory, resilience, and continuity. Throughout the event, Princess Catherine's motherly pride was evident, whether guiding George to meet a decorated gunner or holding his hand as he viewed faded photographs of wartime bravery. She beamed with quiet pride. At one table, Catherine introduced George to 99-year-old Charles Alborn, a former artilleryman who served across Europe and the Middle East. When George saw pictures of the Sherman tanks Charles had operated, he asked, "Were they hard to operate?" "It must have been tough with the weather." The exchange was simple, but it revealed a growing awareness of sacrifice, something not easily taught in a classroom. King Charles, amused and touched, turned to Catherine and said with a chuckle, "You've got a nice-looking boy there. You'll have to keep an eye on him." Catherine's response was a warm, heartfelt smile. This was not just a royal engagement, it was a living tribute to those who risked everything for freedom. As George engaged with figures like codebreaker Ruth Bourne, 98, and Navy fireman Dougie Hyde, 89, it was clear this was no token appearance. He was there to learn, to honor, and to begin a slow, steady walk into public service. Earlier, veterans had gathered on the palace terrace overlooking the gardens, treated to music by the band of the Royal Marines and a tri-service guard of honor. Inside, under bunting made from recycled royal estate fabrics, they were served quiche, sausage rolls, cakes, and scones, the humble comfort foods of wartime Britain. As the party unfolded, so did a quiet legacy. These were not just veterans sharing their stories, they were passing the torch. This VE Day tea party felt different, not only because of the poignant stories, but also for what it symbolized for the royal family. With King Charles and Princess Catherine both recovering from recent health challenges, the future of the monarchy is coming into focus. Prince William is stepping forward, and now so is George. The event was filled with emotion, legacy, and soft power diplomacy. Prince George was not merely meeting old soldiers, he was listening to the last living chapters of a generation that once saved the world, and the nation watched quietly. Realizing the next generation is ready, in a year marked by turbulence and change. This single day at Buckingham Palace felt like a page from a fairy tale, tinged with history and hope. At its heart was a young boy, wide-eyed, respectful, and destined for greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, for decades, the question of why Prince Philip once distanced himself from Queen Elizabeth II has remained a great unsolved mystery. The public only knew their beautiful images, a steadfast love amid the immense pressures of the throne. Yet, recently, Princess Anne, their only daughter and a first-hand witness to the highs and lows of their relationship, has officially broken her silence. Her revelations are not only shocking, but force us to reevaluate this seemingly perfect royal marriage through an entirely new lens. Why did Prince Philip choose to distance himself from the wife the world admired? Could there be heartbreaking stories within Buckingham Palace's ancient walls that no one was ever allowed to know? Join us as we delve into the shocking details Princess Anne has just revealed and uncovered the truth hidden for so many years. Prince Philip was born on June 10th, 1921. He was the only son and fifth child of Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark and Princess Alice of Battenberg. His father came from the Greek royal family, the fourth son of King George I of Greece and Queen Olga. His mother hailed from English and German nobility. The eldest daughter of Louis Mountbatten, first Marquess of Milford Haven, and Victoria Mountbatten. Family circumstances made him a prince of both Greece and Denmark. Despite this noble heritage, Philip's childhood was fraught with challenges. His family faced political instability and personal hardships. After a period of exile, they settled in Suresnes, a quiet suburb near Paris, living in a house provided by Philip's aunt, Princess George of Greece and Denmark. Life in exile was challenging, but the family strove to adapt. Philip was sent to the Elms, an American school in Paris. He excelled academically and was known for being intelligent and polite. In 1930, Philip's life took another significant turn. At just 9 years old, he moved to the United Kingdom, living with his grandmother at Kensington Palace. He also spent time with an uncle, George Mountbatten, at Linden Manor in Bray, a peaceful area in Berkshire. He began attending Cheam School, a respected institution. During these years, Philip's life grew even more unstable. His four sisters married German princes and moved to Germany. His mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia and admitted to a sanatorium. His father left for Monte Carlo, becoming distant from family life. These events left young Philip without a stable home, growing up with little contact with his parents. In 1933, he was sent to Schule Schloss Salem, a progressive school in Germany founded by Kurt Hahn, an educator with strong ideals. As the Nazi Party rose to power, Hahn, an opponent, fled the country. Philip left after 2 terms, following Hahn's educational vision to Scotland, enrolling at Gordonstoun, which Hahn established. Gordonstoun offered a rigorous yet character-building environment, emphasizing discipline, outdoor life, and resilience. It became a formative place for Philip, shaping his values and sense of duty. Though born in Greece, he never spoke Greek fluently. His time there too brief for the language to take root. He understood some languages, but primarily spoke English. Over time, he grew closer to his Danish roots and embraced British culture. His upbringing reflected a blend of cultures and languages, fostering adaptability and resilience. His childhood was marked by constant change, but it prepared him for the public life he would later lead. Despite family turmoil and challenges, Philip remained focused on education and self-development. These years, though often lonely, gave him strength and independence. shaping his character. His future role in the British royal family began to take shape during these years. In 1934, Philip first met Princess Elizabeth at a royal wedding when his cousin, Princess Marina of Greece, married Elizabeth's uncle, the Duke of Kent. At the time, Philip was a teenager, and Elizabeth was still a young girl. Their real connection began 5 years later in 1939, when Elizabeth visited the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth, where Philip was training as a naval cadet. He stood out immediately, full of energy and confidence, impressing those around him. Elizabeth, then just 13, found him intriguing and charismatic. That visit sparked a deeper bond through letters and occasional meetings. Philip had a bold, forthright demeanor dynamic, honest, with a sharp sense of humor. These qualities set him apart from many in royal circles. Elizabeth, more reserved and thoughtful, seemed drawn to this contrast. Over time, their friendship blossomed into love. Despite different backgrounds, they complemented each other well. They stayed in touch during the war years, exchanging letters that sustained their bond despite distance and their roles' demands. As their relationship deepened, challenges arose. Philip's circumstances raised concerns among some royal advisors. Born abroad, with no steady income and sisters married to German nobles linked to the Nazi Party, he sparked unease. Especially in the post-World War II years, doubts lingered about whether he was suitable for Elizabeth, even within the royal family. Not everyone supported the match. Some believed Philip lacked the expected status and pedigree for a future queen's husband, yet Elizabeth remained steadfast. She had made her choice. In 1946, Philip proposed, and she accepted. They kept the engagement secret until Elizabeth turned 21 the following year, when it was finally announced. It became a major event. Their romance captured the public's imagination, and their engagement brought excitement and hope to a war-weary Britain. After years of conflict and hardship, people eagerly awaited a story of love and renewal. On November 20th, 1947, they married at Westminster Abbey. The ceremony was steeped in tradition and grandeur. The first royal wedding broadcast on television, watched by millions, it became a symbol of a nation recovering from World War II's impact. Philip relinquished his Greek and Danish titles, adopting the surname Mountbatten and receiving the title Duke of Edinburgh. From that day, he fully embraced his new role in British life, standing by Elizabeth as her partner. After the wedding, life began to unfold. For Philip, it marked the start of a new phase. He entered a world shaped by royal customs and expectations, something he had not fully experienced before. Elizabeth, raised with these protocols, always knew she would one day be queen. Her path was clear from childhood, carefully prepared for leadership. For Philip, joining the royal family meant entering a realm where he had to learn quickly and adapt even faster. The early years of their marriage were filled with change. From 1949 to 1951, they lived in Malta, where Philip served in the Royal Navy. Those years offered a rare sense of peace and normalcy. Life in Malta was quieter, more relaxed, and free from public scrutiny, with no constant duties or crowds tracking their every move. They could live as a regular couple for the first time, enjoying a freedom they rarely experienced again. Unfortunately, that peaceful chapter ended in 1952. Elizabeth's father, King George VI, died suddenly, and everything changed. Elizabeth became queen at 25. The weight of the crown bearing heavily on her shoulders. With her new role came immense responsibility. And the tranquil life they had enjoyed vanished almost overnight. Alongside the royal title came a heated debate: what would the royal house be called under Elizabeth's reign? Traditionally, A woman took her husband's surname. Suggestions arose to rename the royal house. Lord Mountbatten, Philip's uncle, proposed the House of Mountbatten. Philip himself favored the House of Edinburgh, based on his ducal title. However, these ideas were swiftly rejected. Queen Mary, Elizabeth's grandmother, ensured Prime Minister Winston Churchill knew her stance. Soon after, Elizabeth was advised to formally declare the royal house would remain the House of Windsor. This decision deeply upset Philip. He felt sidelined and powerless in a world that valued tradition over personal bonds. He couldn't even pass his name to his children, though he rarely spoke of it publicly. It clearly troubled him. It wasn't until 1960, just before their third child, Prince Andrew, was born, that a change occurred. Elizabeth issued an order in council declaring that any male descendants not bearing royal prince or princess titles would carry the surname Mountbatten Windsor. It was a subtle but significant shift, allowing Philip's name to be recognized in the lineage. This change followed months of correspondence and debate, particularly from a constitutional expert who warned that without it, royal children could be deemed illegitimate. Prime Minister Harold Macmillan dismissed these claims, but Elizabeth made the final decision, soon after becoming queen. She ensured Philip's place beside her was acknowledged. She declared he would hold a position of honor and prominence in all official matters unless law specified otherwise. She also arranged for him to act as regent for their son Charles should anything happen to her while he was a child. Parliament passed this into law in 1953. Despite public speculation about their marriage, Elizabeth and Philip maintained a close bond. Their relationship was resilient. Even in tough times, they supported each other through life's challenges on the throne. Years later, at their Diamond Jubilee in 2012, Elizabeth spoke of how much Philip meant to her, describing him as a constant, steady presence through decades of public service. Philip's role as consort was challenging, but he took it seriously and with dedication. He accompanied the Queen to major events, including parliamentary openings worldwide, formal state dinners, and countless official visits. One of his most notable contributions was during the Queen's coronation. As chairman of the Coronation Committee, he oversaw critical details and even became the first royal to fly in a helicopter, visiting troops involved in the ceremony. Though not crowned himself, he swore a solemn oath to fully support Elizabeth, pledging his loyalty during the grand event. In 1953 and 1954, the Queen and Philip embarked on a 6-month Commonwealth tour, representing the crown across nations. Their young children remained in England, a common practice at the time. Though emotionally costly, the tour solidified the Queen's role and Philip's support in the public eye. From 1990, Prince Philip received an official allowance of £359,000 annually to cover his duties and expenses. Unaffected by later royal financial reforms, every penny went to his official responsibilities, with any unused portion taxed. In reality, Philip used the full amount for his work through years, changes, and duties. He remained steadfast beside Elizabeth. His journey into royal life was not easy. He sacrificed much and continually adapted, yet always stood by his wife. Their story is not just about tradition and ceremony, but about personal strength, loyalty, and quiet dedication. However, their life was not without controversy. In the 1950s, whispers began circulating about an alleged affair between Prince Philip and a Russian ballet dancer. These rumors spread within royal circles and seeped into the British press, sparking curiosity and suspicion. The woman at the center was Galina Ulanova, a graceful and admired Soviet ballerina, celebrated not only for her stage talent, but also for her poise and elegance. Her fame extended beyond Russia, and her name carried a mystique that made the story more tantalizing. Though no concrete evidence emerged to support the claims, the idea of such an affair captured public attention. The timing was particularly sensitive, as Britain and the Soviet Union were navigating delicate diplomatic relations. The notion of Prince Philip being linked to a prominent Soviet figure added a layer of political tension. Some insiders speculated that the British government may have intervened to keep the story from gaining traction, possibly to protect the monarchy and avoid international embarrassment. If such a relationship existed, it could have harmed not only the royal family, but also raised serious national security concerns. The rumor's impact was not limited to newspapers or gossip columns. They reportedly caused strain behind Buckingham Palace's closed doors. According to sources close to the royal family, Queen Elizabeth was deeply affected by the story not just as a matter of public image, but on a personal, emotional level. Yet, she remained silent, neither reacting nor displaying her feelings. Choosing to continue her role, this aligned with her calm, composed nature. Especially when facing controversy, she had learned to live with public speculation, often opting for dignity over response. For his part, Prince Philip never publicly addressed the rumors. The silence from both sides only fueled public imagination. Not everyone believed the story. Some royal observers dismissed it as a fabricated drama, but others saw it differently, viewing it as a sign that Philip, though loyal to his role, might have felt constrained by royal life's formality and restrictions. Such thoughts fed the idea that he yearned for something beyond ceremonial duties and endless protocols. Their son, Prince Andrew, always stood by his father, speaking of Prince Philip as a man of honor who valued his responsibilities and family above all. His public defenses never wavered, but they weren't enough to quell public curiosity. People kept wondering, seeking answers that never came. The mystery never fully faded, lingering in royal history like a shadow that never quite disappears. The alleged affair, whether true or fabricated, highlighted deeper struggles in Elizabeth and Philip's marriage. From the outside, they appeared strong and united, but like any long-term relationship, especially one under constant public scrutiny, theirs had moments of strain and distance. While Elizabeth was known for her patience and emotional control, those close to her noticed certain events left a quiet mark. She rarely showed it, but that didn't mean she was unaffected. Over time, the couple seemed to reach an understanding, focusing on their shared responsibilities and prioritizing duty over personal wounds. Their relationship may not have brimmed with endless joy, but it was solid. They stood together through major world events, family changes, and growing public pressure, building a partnership rooted not in perfection, but in loyalty and resilience. The ballet dancer rumor was just one of many challenges they faced. This episode became one of the most whispered about stories in royal history, showing that even those at society's pinnacle face human struggles, doubts, and the need for trust. Their children reflected different facets of their parents' union. Princess Anne understood her father's restless spirit, while Prince Andrew remained loyal and protective. Their perspectives added depth to Elizabeth and Philip's story, offering glimpses into the broader tapestry. Despite rumors, silence, and uncertainty, Elizabeth and Philip stayed together. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but it endured. They shared a deep commitment to their roles, their country, and each other over decades of change. They chose to walk together not because they had no other choice, but because they believed in their bond's strength. Their story, shaped by public duty and private struggles, remains a powerful example of dedication through life's many storms. In 2017, Prince Philip concluded his long public life by officially retiring from royal duties at 96, marking the end of a decades-long era. He had supported Queen Elizabeth II with strength and devotion, attending countless royal events and traveling worldwide. But as age advanced, he decided it was time to slow down and enjoy a quieter, more private life. This decision led him to leave the bustling royal palace and settle at Wood Farm, a modest house on the Sandringham estate. Far less grand than the royal residences he had known for much of his life, it was simple, surrounded by nature, fields, and the tranquil countryside atmosphere for Prince Philip. This was exactly what he needed. He always loved the outdoors and hands-on work. At Wood Farm, he could paint, read, hike, and spend peaceful days. Here, away from the constant demands and attention of public life, he lived out his final years. The decision to move to Wood Farm followed careful consideration. Private discussions reportedly took place within the royal family to understand Philip's wishes and how best to honor them. His daughter, Princess Anne, later shared that both her parents accepted this arrangement, finding a way to respect each other's needs while remaining close as a couple. The Queen continued her duties in London, while Philip moved to the countryside to enjoy retirement in his own way. Princess Anne clarified that the move stemmed not from marital trouble, but from practical steps suited to both at that stage of their lives. The Queen's role required her presence at Buckingham Palace, deeply engaged in royal affairs, while Philip valued privacy and freedom from ceremony. Their decision reflected their relationship's strength, built over decades of understanding, compromise, and shared responsibility. This arrangement allowed them to live the lives they needed without strain or unhappiness. Anne explained that her father was always independent-minded, preferring a less formal setting whenever possible. Though the official narrative emphasized mutual understanding and personal preferences, some palace insiders hinted at other reasons behind Philip's move. These varying accounts caused confusion over the years. One suggestion was that he grew weary of the strict protocols and security measures at Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. The Queen's Guard's constant routines and rigid ceremonies may have felt overly restrictive for someone like Philip, who never favored unnecessary formality. He likely found Wood Farm's freedom refreshing, while some sources claimed he left voluntarily. Others whispered that royal life's pressures may have nudged him toward the decision. Though the public narrative portrayed a calm, peaceful transition, the backstage story may have been more complex. At times, even royal family statements seemed to shift slightly. Initially, the move was framed as a simple matter of personal preference, a mutual agreement. Later, suggestions emerged that the Queen's staff may have supported Philip stepping back, possibly to ease tensions and allow both royals to live more comfortably in their own environments. Princess Anne's words added a deeply human element to the story. She spoke of her father not just as a royal figure, but as a man with his own identity. Separate from being the Queen's husband, he had a clear vision of how he wanted to be remembered as someone who served devotedly while staying true to himself. That desire seemed to guide his final years, spent in quiet reflection, surrounded by what he loved. Even as rumors swirled, those close to the royal family emphasized that the arrangement was respectful and thoughtful, with no signs of bitterness or discord. Instead, it was a quiet decision made out of care for each other. Both Philip and the Queen had spent decades prioritizing duty above all else. In this final chapter, they found a way to balance responsibility with personal comfort. The Queen continued serving the crown, while Philip enjoyed his hard-earned rest in the countryside. Prince Philip's retirement and life at Wood Farm marked a graceful end to a remarkable journey, showing that even those at the highest levels can seek simplicity, peace, and a place to call their own. His choice was not about abandoning family or duty, but about embracing life's final phase with dignity, honesty, and a strong sense of self. In doing so, He reminded the world that behind the crown was a man who simply wanted to savor the quiet beauty of the life he had earned. When the world began shutting down due to the pandemic in early 2020, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip quietly decided to reunite at Windsor Castle. This choice brought them back under the same roof after years of living apart. As the world faced fear and uncertainty, the Queen and Prince Philip found a moment of peace together. They isolated together, away from others. For a couple in the final stages of life, this unexpected reunion held profound meaning, offering a chance to share daily life again, reconnecting not just as monarchs but as husband and wife. Their children closely observed them during this time, noticing a new closeness forming between their parents, a bond softened by time. After years in separate residences, their mother and father were once again dining, talking, and spending hours together. It felt like a return to something familiar, a reminder of the connection that always existed. Even when life and duties pulled them apart, the reunion, though spurred by crisis, brought quiet joy to the royal family, a gentle reminder of the love that endured. The reasons why Prince Philip chose to live separately in his final years were never fully explained. Whatever the reasons, the months they spent together at Windsor seemed to bridge the gap that had grown between them. As Philip's final months passed, a sense of peace seemed to envelop the couple. Their son Charles recalled the quiet moments they shared, often sitting together without speaking, letting silence say enough. Their long history was sufficient. Even as Philip's health declined, he retained his dry humor and sharp wit, continuing to make the Queen smile, offering comfort simply by being there. Charles could see the deep respect they held for each other, even in silence. They didn't explain everything or revisit past choices, but their actions showed a quiet acceptance. They had learned to honor each other's decisions. Knowing love doesn't always need explanations. Their marriage, spanning over 7 decades, was never without struggles. Public life brought heavy responsibilities, and being part of the royal family meant constant pressure. Always performing, always present. But through it all, Elizabeth and Philip stood together. Their relationship faced tests many times but remained steadfast. There were disagreements, distances, and personal differences, but beneath it all was a resilient bond. Those close to them could see its strength, not always warm or open, but steady, built on shared values, a sense of duty, and the quiet devotion that held them together. Even when apart, when Prince Philip passed away, the entire royal family felt the loss deeply. It wasn't just the loss of a beloved family member. It marked the end of a generation, the close of a long chapter. Prince Andrew recounted that moment with immense emotion. There was sadness, of course, but also pride. His father had faced life with strength and met his death the same way. Princess Anne, always close to her father, recalled their final conversation. He spoke clearly, even at the end, telling her how he wanted to be remembered. He didn't request a funeral, only gratitude for the life he lived. His words reflected a man who faced death with calm and dignity, maintaining his connection to family even when apart. Elizabeth and Philip were married for 73 years, a partnership forged through change, duty, and the demands of royal life. Yet, they remained one of the most iconic and admired couples in modern history. Their union wasn't perfect, but it was strong, showing the world what commitment looks like under the toughest circumstances. They quietly supported each other, needing no proof. Their story became a symbol of resilience, a love that learned to adapt, bend, and endure. Princess Anne's candid revelations have opened a new perspective on the marriage of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, a relationship not only of sweet moments, but also of silent sacrifices and unbridgeable distances. The decision to live apart, even briefly, was not due to coldness or betrayal as many speculated, but stemmed from the invisible pressures weighing on both. This story shows that even the most seemingly perfect marriages face challenges and losses. And sometimes, distance is the necessary test to make love stronger over time. What do you think of these surprising revelations? Has your view of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth II changed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel to catch more captivating stories about the British royal family that we'll continue exploring with you.